The power of I am in the Bible, have you ever stopped to think? What if the Bible hides one of the greatest secrets about the power of the human mind? What if what many people today call the law of attraction, the power of thought, or manifestation had already been taught thousands of years ago? That is exactly what we are going to explore today. Because when you begin to look at the Bible in a different way, when you look beyond traditional interpretations, you start to notice something remarkable. There is a profound message there. A message about consciousness, identity, and choices. And especially about a power that every one of us carries within. A power called I am. And maybe you have never noticed. But this expression appears in the Bible many times. And it is not by chance. Today we are going to begin a series of reflections to understand what these ancient texts were truly trying to tell us. And to begin this journey, we need to go back thousands of years. Moses' encounter with God in one of the most remarkable moments in the Bible. Moses has an encounter with God. He sees the burning bush in the desert. And hears a voice that completely changes the spiritual history of humanity. Moses then asks a simple question. He asks, "When I go to speak to the people, when they ask who sent me, what is your name?" Then comes one of the most mysterious and powerful answers in the entire Bible. God replies, "I am that I am." And then he says something even more curious. "Tell the people of Israel that I am has sent you." But think about that for a moment. God did not give a common name. He did not give a title. He did not give a traditional identification. He simply said, "I am." For centuries, many people have read this passage, but few have truly reflected on its deeper meaning. Because when you say I am, you are making a statement about your own identity. And that is exactly where the great secret begins. The name of God is consciousness. If the name of God is I am, then every time you say I am, you are using that same divine expression. Now think about the things you usually say after that. I am tired. I am unlucky. I am poor. I am unhappy. Do you see the power of these statements? Because when you affirm something after I am, you are declaring it as part of your identity. And the Bible suggests something very profound about this. It suggests that the divine presence lives within human consciousness. In other words, the meeting point between God and the human being happens within consciousness. That is why this expression is so powerful, because it represents the moment when you define who you believe you are. The warning about the power of affirmations now imagine two different people. One person wakes up every day saying, I am healthy. I am prosperous. I am capable. I am blessed. Another person wakes up saying, I am a failure. I am unlucky. I never achieve anything. Both are using the same expression, I am, but they are creating completely different realities. Because what you affirm about yourself begins to shape the way you think, how you act, and even how you interpret the world around you. That is why many spiritual traditions have always warned about being careful with words. Because words create images. Images create emotions. And emotions create behaviors. And behaviors ultimately shape a person's destiny. The silence that reveals the truth there is another powerful passage in the Bible. In the book of Psalms it says, Be still, know that I am God. This sentence carries a very deep meaning. It suggests that when the mind becomes quiet, when the internal noise fades away, it becomes possible to perceive something greater within us, a silent consciousness, a presence, a feeling of pure existence, something that simply says, I am, before any title, before any problem, before any social identity. There is only this awareness. If everyone has this power, why are lives so different? This is a very common question. If God lives within everyone, why are there happy people and unhappy people? Prosperous people and people facing difficulties? Healthy people and sick people? The Bible also speaks about this. It speaks about something fundamental called free will. Free will is the ability each person has to make choices. Imagine someone offers you two colors to paint a house, blue or pink. If you choose pink, but the person paints it blue anyway, then you never really had a choice. But if you truly can decide, then you possess freedom. According to many spiritual interpretations, God granted humanity exactly that: the freedom to choose, the freedom to experience, the freedom to create our own journey. The passage in Isaiah, there is a passage in the book of Isaiah that reinforces this idea. In this text, God says something surprising. He states that He created both the light and the darkness. He created peace, and also allowed the existence of evil. This passage often causes confusion, but one way to understand it is to see that the world functions as a field of choices. You can choose thoughts of peace or thoughts of conflict. You can choose attitudes of love or attitudes of selfishness. And each choice creates a different experience. It is not that someone is forcing you to live a certain reality. Rather, life responds to the choices we constantly make. Consciousness shapes experience. When you choose to believe you are capable, your mind begins to look for opportunities. When you believe everything will go wrong, your mind begins to see obstacles everywhere. And little by little, experiences start to reflect what you believe. That is why so many traditions talk about transforming the mind. Because changing the way you think changes the way you live. I am in the words of Jesus. When we reach the New Testament, something interesting happens. Jesus repeatedly uses the expression, I am. He says, I am the way, I am the door, I am the resurrection and the life. I'm the Alpha and the Omega. But notice an interesting detail. In many of these passages, the phrase appears simply as I am. This expression continues to be used as a statement of consciousness, as a declaration of spiritual identity, as if it were pointing to something deeper than just a name, something connected to the very state of being, the door of consciousness. Imagine your consciousness as a door. Everything that enters your mind, every idea you accept, every thought you cultivate, passes through that door, and then it moves to an even deeper place, the subconscious. The subconscious is like fertile soil. Whatever is planted there, sooner or later, begins to grow. If you plant fear, you harvest insecurity. If you plant confidence, you harvest courage. If you plant gratitude, you harvest emotional abundance. The distance between you and your desire, many people believe their dreams are very far away, that they lack luck, that they lack opportunities, that something external is missing. But there is an interesting perspective that says the following. The distance between you and what you desire may be much smaller than it seems. In fact, that distance may exist only within the mind itself, between thought and feeling. The true secret of feeling there is something fundamental that many people ignore. It is not enough to repeat positive phrases. It is not enough to say beautiful words. If there is no feeling behind them, those words become empty. It is like a parrot repeating sounds. It speaks, but it does not understand the meaning. In the same way, repeating affirmations without emotion does not create real transformation. What truly creates change is when thought and feeling move together. When you affirm something and genuinely feel it as true within yourself. Feeling before seeing. When you begin to feel joy, even before circumstances change, something starts transforming inside you. When you feel gratitude, even before achieving something, your mind begins to see opportunities that once went unnoticed. This internal state changes how you position yourself in the world. And naturally, it also changes the results you begin to create. The power of daily choice. In the end, life is made of daily choices. Choosing to forgive or to hold resentment. Choosing to believe or to give up. Choosing to cultivate hope or to feed fear. Each choice may seem small on its own, but added together, over time, they become the entire path of your life. Consciousness as a power of transformation. Perhaps one of the deepest messages of this reflection is this. You are not merely a spectator of your life. You participate in creating your experience. Through the thoughts you accept, through the emotions you cultivate, and through the words you declare about yourself, especially those that begin with two simple words, I am. Conclusion. So from today on, it may be worth paying closer attention to the affirmations you make every day. Because every time you say I am, you are defining something about who you believe you are. And perhaps this is one of the deepest teachings hidden in the ancient scriptures. The idea that within human consciousness there exists an extraordinary power, a power capable of transforming the way we live, the way we feel, and the way we see the world. And this is only the first part of this journey, because in the next episodes, we will continue exploring other passages from the Bible and understanding how many of these teachings may reveal powerful principles about the mind, consciousness, and the creation of reality. So if this type of content resonates with you, keep following this series, because the journey to understand the power of I Am is only just beginning.